First, I would like to thank Gramophone for giving me the opportunity to express my gratitude to all those who voted for the Budapest Festival Orchestra. Thank you very, very much. I'm honored and deeply moved. And also surprised, because we are actually a baby if we compare our age, which is 39 years old, to the established old symphony orchestras. I remember very well in 1983 when I had the idea to found a completely new orchestra. I didn't want to win a competition. I didn't want to be better than the other orchestras are. It was never my purpose. I wanted an orchestra which is different than all the others, not better. It's very important for us that it's not a competition. Why different? Because at that time I was convinced, and I'm still convinced, that the symphony orchestra needs a reform. It needs to change if it wants to grow with our changing time. Why? Because I think the symphony orchestra is threatened from various corners. One is the shrinking repertoire. It's not good if we play the music of the same 200 years. What will happen in 500 years when we still play the same 200 years, which will be now 700-year-old? We have to extend the repertoire. This is one important point. Then there is another problem, which is the motivation. Members of a symphony orchestra follow instructions all the time. There is a conductor who dictates, and the musician follows the conductor, the concertmaster, the principal. Where is the creativity? What musicians learned and spent so many years to study. Where? How is it used? I think this lack of creativity, the lack of possibility for creativity, leads to a mechanical playing, which is a symptom of a threat for the symphony orchestras. And then there is a third, maybe smaller but very important danger, that orchestras start to be so loud that it damages the ears, that the trumpet player plays so loudly that the viola player in front of him cannot bear it anymore. There is something wrong about becoming louder and louder and louder. There are various threats to the symphony orchestra, and I had this idea, being 31-year-old, that I have to found a reform orchestra, a new style, an orchestra of the future, which works differently. And we addressed all these problems. For example, the repertoire. The Budapest Festival Orchestra became an orchestra which incorporates a period instrument ensemble playing Baroque music regularly. It has a contemporary music ensemble which looks out for the newest, most modern music which is composed in the world and works together with composers. And this is probably the only orchestra which sings regularly and can stand up being a chorus. We extend the repertoire in all directions, including improvised music, which we start to work on now. Then the motivation issue. I worked years and years to create an orchestra where people play a lot of chamber music, more than in any other orchestra of the world, ensembles, different formations. We also have schemes like project leadership, where members of the orchestra have the task to create programs and lead projects. And I try to work as a conductor differently, a little bit like the theater directors work with actors, bringing out the best qualities of everybody, encouraging their creativity. We discuss the works, they have their input, and it feels a little bit like a theater group, not like a typical orchestra. And we also address the volume problem in a variety of ways. We have different seatings. Altogether, it's a completely a reform structure. Now, the most important reform we have is why do we exist? What is this orchestra for? We don't want to be the best. It's great to hear that we are now the orchestra of the year, chosen by the people, but we don't want to compete with other orchestras. We really honestly want to serve the community. This is our purpose, that we serve our smaller community at home and the whole world community which needs culture. Serving the community is not as easy as it is said. We do a lot of things. We go out to the people who cannot come to the concert hall. We do a large number of outreach activities, going obviously to old people's homes, hospitals, schools. During the pandemic, we gave serenades on the streets to the lockdown people in Budapest. We go out to the people regularly. And we also created new types of concerts for each generation, for the 5 to 10-year-old children, for the students, for even specialized concerts for autistic children and their families, because we really think that the function of an orchestra is to serve the community with culture. We will also teach young musicians, teach audience members to express themselves with music. And this is really the philosophy of the Budapest Festival Orchestra, to share the joy of music in all forms to all generations. And I very often tell my musicians in rehearsals, don't play for each other. Your function, your goal shouldn't be to be the best, to compete with others. What you have to do is enjoy the music and share this enjoyment with the people who listen to it. This is what we stand for. And now, having so many votes, I feel that it wasn't in vain, that some of the joy we have in music did reach the audiences. Thank you very much for your votes. We will keep making music for you.